Hey everyone, it's Fantoni. I've finally binge watched The Witcher on Netflix. It's time for my review. Obviously I'll be talking about spoilers. If you haven't watched the series yet, go and watch it. Don't worry about this video. Watch it, then come back. The critics are crapping on it. Don't listen to them. They're all about Game of Thrones this, Game of Thrones that. This series ain't no Game of Thrones, blah 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 blah. Whatever. Some of them are saying it's too slow. The pacing doesn't work. Do you remember when Game of Thrones was slow? When each episode was building to something bigger, instead of just some big CGI fest? I believe one website which has all the big Game of Thrones inside news, they hated on this series. But they never really said anything bad about Season 8. Yep, there's some bias out there. There's always going to be the Game of Thrones comparisons. The Witcher, the next big Game of Thrones, the next big fantasy show. I'll admit the dragons in The Witcher didn't look good, whilst in Game of Thrones they look amazing. But new rule on the channel, no more Game of Thrones Witcher comparisons. They're completely different. If you want to talk about Game of Thrones, I've got plenty of videos on the channel. This is Witcher time. I loved the first season. I loved it a lot. One of the best shows in recent times. I binge watched all the episodes on Saturday. All the episodes done. Can't wait for season 2. That ending killed me. I just can't wait. 2021 is so far away. I've been covering The Witcher for nearly 2 years on the channel. Lots of videos here. If you want to see more, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell. But like I say in every single Witcher video, I refuse to talk about later books that spoil the series for people that haven't read them. There's huge surprises to come, and likely the writers have some big tricks up their sleeves. I'm going to be reviewing this season and explaining the ending, but we're not going to be talking about future events. I don't think that's fair. But imagine a lot of you guys have read the books and played the games, you know what's going on, you probably know more than me. But here are my thoughts for the first season. I think it's pretty faithful to the books. Yeah, there are some big changes and other stuff is simplified or move around. It's not word for word exactly the same, but for a mainstream TV show book adaptation, it works. It does The Last Wish, Sword of Destiny, and some Blood of Elves very good justice. Game fans might not like how all the characters look, and some book fans as well. Yennefer is usually the biggest target, but guys, she is my favourite character this season. Best character on the show, I love her. Henry Cavill as Geralt, he was also perfect. He was always going to be perfect, he loves this show. He loves Geralt, he loves The Witcher. As for Freya Allan as Ciri, she was my least favourite of the three, but that's nothing against her. She's going to grow into the Ciri in the books, starting next season. She's going to become the Witcher girl. And guys, Ciri is my favourite character. I can't wait to see her in action as the Witcher girl. As for the timeline, it's not straightforward, you've probably heard this by now. It's non-linear, it jumps around between the past and the present. A good example is episode 3 Betrayer Moon. Geralt's trying to save King Foltest's daughter who's a Striga. We see a painting of him and his sister as children, but in the same episode we see Yennefer at a ball and they're there as children in person. The events are happening throughout several time periods in the same episodes. I think we've all agreed by now there's 3 different timelines: Yennefer's backstory, Geralt's short stories, and Ciri during and after the fall of Sintra, which also connects into Yennefer at the Battle of Sodden Hill, and Geralt and Sintra, and then going to Sodden to find Ciri. It all ties up in the end in episode 8, Yennefer's at Sodden Hill, and Geralt and Ciri meet. Some say this is very confusing, and I do understand that, but guys, my girlfriend has no Witcher knowledge really, apart from what I've told her or in my videos, but she had no problem following this. It might take you a minute or two, but you work it out, what's going on, and I think it's done well. In the books, the short stories are very separate, but the show tries to tie them together more than the book's done. They are connected and they do happen throughout different time periods, but the show wants them to feel connected. For instance, in the books, Geralt never wanted to find the djinn. Him and Dandelion were just fishing one day, and they just find it. Whereas in the show, he's fishing for the djinn. He said he wants to wish to help him to sleep, but I think he wants to wish for the law of surprise that connects him and Ciri to be annulled. I wasn't too keen on that change at first, but it does make sense to tie all these events together, instead of being loosely based short story events. But The Last Wish is my favourite book in the Witcher series, and one of my favourite books of all time, and I think the show's done a good job of adapting it. And we know from season 2 they're going to be including more short stories from The Last Wish and Sword of Destiny. But there are some changes I'm not too sure on. Jaskier invites Geralt to the banquet in the show, whereas in the books, Calanthe personally invites Geralt in her plan to get rid of Duny. Another one is in the books, Geralt and Stregobor know each other, and I believe the last time they encountered, Stregobor wasn't too kind to Geralt. Something to do with Geralt claiming a reward for killing a monster, and Stregobor said, "No, Geralt, you're just a charlatan, you should be thrown out of court." But the Lesser Evil in episode 1 is one of my favourite episodes, and it's the best way to start off this series. Like I predicted, they started with a Kakimura kill, and this episode sets the tone up for the series perfectly. Yeah, it simplifies down the short story, but that's expected for television. Only book fans really care about these minor details. All the important details are in there, but I will admit I'm not keen on everything they've done. Cahir beating Vilgefortz is a bit strange to me. Vilgefortz is one of the most powerful characters in the entire world. He's a mage, a druid, and a mercenary. It sounds pretty minor that Cahir beats him, but it's incredibly important to the story. Vilgefortz has to be super powerful. Yeah, Cahir is very good with a sword, but there's no way in hell he's beating Vilgefortz. Unless Vilgefortz threw the fight, which I'm not too sure on that one, or maybe he got overconfident, didn't want to use magic, other than making his sword appear in his scabbard, and Cahir beats him that way. And I also wasn't too keen on the Doppler story. They killed off Mousak, which is a big change from the books. He doesn't die, but then again he doesn't appear later on after this. Actually, he does appear, when Ciri goes to Brokilon, that's a bit different. In the show, she runs off to Brokilon before the fall of Sintra. She's been escorted to meet someone that could be a future husband, and she runs off and ends up in Brokilon. I believe this is a short story, The Sword of Destiny, and Geralt's actually in Brokilon at the same time, and he meets Ciri in Brokilon Forest. But the show's obviously cut that out, and added Brokilon Forest to after the fall of Sintra. It does kind of make sense, because you don't want to repeat Ciri on the run, and you want to slim down and simplify the story. It is a big change, and it does mean that Geralt meets Ciri for the first time at the end, and I do understand why they've done that. They wanted the season to end if Geralt and Ciri meet each other for the first time face to face, and her asking who Yennefer was. They didn't want Geralt and Ciri to meet before this, which is a big change from the books, but it makes sense for the whole purpose of the show. It's all leading up to these characters linked by destiny meeting for the first time. Even though they've heard each other's names and mentioned to them so many times in the past, they've never actually met face to face. I could go on and on here, and I might make more videos in the future, maybe next week, talking about individual events and episodes or characters. If you guys want that, just let me know. I could honestly sit here for over an hour talking about all the episodes, but I'm not going to do that. As for the ending, this is where the timelines meet. Geralt and Ciri are together. She was the girl in the woods that Renfri spoke about in episode 1. He says people who are linked by destiny will always find each other, and she replies, who is Yennefer? Yennefer is incredibly important to Ciri. She's a mother figure to her, and over time she's basically her mother. That's how Ciri sees Yennefer, and Yennefer sees Ciri as her daughter, the daughter she never had. But the show is definitely making them more connected than just that. Geralt and Ciri are connected through destiny by the law of surprise, and you could argue that Geralt's last wish is what connects Yennefer and Ciri together by destiny. I don't think it's ever been revealed, but we believe that his wish was for him and Yennefer to be bound together, to save her from the Jinn, and because of that she is now connected to Ciri by destiny. It makes perfect sense as these are the three main characters, and I will admit the show's done a very good job of distributing the screen time very evenly between them. Yennefer was last seen at the Battle of Sodden Hill. No, she's not dead. She unleashed all of her chaos and used fire magic to drive Nilfgaard back. Remember, we were told that fire magic was forbidden by the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, and to say I wasn't very keen on Yennefer using chaos until the moment arrived. She's drove Nilfgaard back for now, but the North took a hammering. 14 mages die at the Battle of Sodden Hill. Triss Merigold is named amongst them, but she does survive. She held the gate and she was left with a scar on her chest, but she's also got mental scars as well, to the Battle of Sodden Hill. And I imagine it's going to leave scars on Yennefer's mind as well. In the books, Fringilla Vigo does blind Yennefer, but obviously that never happened. But it definitely causes a rivalry between them, and the show's going to expand on this. They were at the same class at Artusa, and Fringilla was a prodigy, whilst Yennefer was very slow. They're both incredibly powerful, but Fringilla uses forbidden magic. She uses magic that causes human sacrifices, and it makes her more powerful. But Yennefer has her emotions, and she can unleash her chaos. I expect a huge fight between them at some point, and book readers know later in the books there's something that Fringilla does with someone that's going to piss Yennefer off big time. But we'll save that for later. Guys, I want you to post in the comments below what you thought about this series. I loved it. Season 1 was great. Not perfect, but it's pretty much all we can ask for. The Witcher is not an easy series to adapt, especially with the short stories. I think Netflix and the writers done a great job. Hats off to Lauren Hisrich and her team. I think the ending was perfect. Geralt and Ciri are together. Yennefer's close by. It didn't end well with Geralt and Yennefer, but we know now that Ciri's involved, that changes everything. It's basically their daughter, all three of them connected by destiny. If you guys have any requests for videos on Season 1, just let me know in the comments below, and I will be covering all the Season 2 news, just like how I've done for Season 1. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. Click here to learn about the brand new casting of Lady Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings Amazon series. That's going to be the next big series alongside The Witcher. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.